You know, if you were a mountain climber, a person who had actually been up a mountain and experienced it firsthand, then if you were to go to a lecture about mountain climbing, it would mean something entirely different to you than it would to someone who'd never been up on a mountain. It's the same with the mystical interpretation of the Bible. The approach we want to take is to first rise up in consciousness and then look. And by rising up in consciousness, I mean those states of consciousness that we attain when we have our very best meditations, when we really feel something open up within us and we feel a real connection with God, and how that changes everything. And we sit with that, we live with it. We begin to become aware of God in our everyday life. We go to work, we're aware of God. We're driving in our car, we're aware of God. We're at home cooking dinner, we're aware of God. And this comes through persistent practice and through a real heartfelt request, asking God to make himself known in your consciousness, in your awareness. And when that happens, then you can read the scriptures and they start to make sense in a way that someone who hasn't done that would not pick up on. It's the same as climbing a mountain. Once you've been there and you've been up above the tree line and you've seen the expansiveness of the sky and all of the terrain below you, and you've worked to get there, and you feel that rarefied air and the crispness and the rocks and just the natural beauty of it all. That is indescribable. You can't really explain that. I mean, you can talk about it, but you can't convey the experience of it. The only way you get that is by actually doing it. And so you can't really get to know God by reading the Bible either. It's not an intellectual pursuit. You can't figure it out. You have to feel God's presence before you can even begin to understand what the Bible is saying. I mean, we can do what it says. We can work at loving our enemies. We can treat each other the way, or we treat other people the way we would like to be treated. We can pray sincerely and privately. And all of those things will draw us closer to the Godhead, to the light of Christ within us. But intellectually trying to discern the truth in the Bible isn't going to work. Never has, never will, because it's not an intellectual pursuit. It's an experiential pursuit. So if you're interested in the Bible, then you want to really work on making that connection, to really make a steady practice of meditation and prayer and acts of service and self-sacrifice, and to really reach out in consciousness to make a connection with the cosmos, to make a connection with the great Christ, to make a connection with the being, the great being within whom we live and move and have our being. When we do that, then we'll understand. The Bible will start to open up. But it's not really its purpose to give us understanding. The only way we can really get an understanding of God is by doing God. It's by bringing God into the smallest act, to let the Spirit move and let the energy of what you're doing show you what to do next. That's the Spirit. That's the intelligence of God working through us. It's like the Holy Spirit is God's personality in action. So it's not just a raw energy or a nameless energy. It's a person. It's a personality. It's a real feeling. It's like someone you know and love. You know them. You get a feeling for them. You want to develop that same kind of relationship with God. And then once you have that, and it's not hard. It's really not that hard. If you start with the simplicity of it. It's like a person who wants to write a novel but can't get started because it's that first page, it's the first line. They can't quite get past it because they have this idea that the novel is this great big thing, and it's so huge in their mind, and they just can't get started. Don't be that way with God. Be like the writer who just starts writing and writes a paragraph or two about somebody doing something, and see where it takes you. And with God, it's like invite God into you, and then do something, like wash the dishes, clean the floor, go for a walk, call somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, and let God work through you. Let the Spirit move through you and come through your words, through the sound of your voice. And that's how you begin. And then after a while, you become acclimatized to it, and it grows from there. And then you'll read something in the Bible, something really enigmatic, like I and my Father are one, and that throws the intellect. The intellect doesn't know what to do with that, but you can get a real feeling for that. And something like before Abraham was, I am. Scholars and theologians have been struggling with that forever. They don't know what to make of it. But if you have the experience of that, then it makes perfect sense. So if you're going to study the Bible, if you're going to pursue this path of mystical Bible interpretation, do your spiritual work, do your meditation, do your prayers, really get in touch with the presence of God, and let that Spirit come up from within you and get to know it. And then once you have that, then you're like that mountain climber. You've been to the mountaintop, and then all the lectures about mountain climbing will make perfect sense. So, have a wonderful day.